my name is Tony Croasdale. I am an Environmental Education Program Specialist at Cobbs Creek Environmental Center with Philadelphia Parks and Recreation. Welcome to Parks and Recreation at Home. Today, we're going to walk you through the birds you might see along the Schuylkill River Trail in the winter. So, when you walk along the trail, be it um, by the Art Museum, maybe up in the Manayunk and Roxborough, anywhere there's trees, there's a good chance you'll see a wood duck. And they're named because they do nest in cavities in trees. And they start breeding in March or April. So it's a good chance you'll see them anywhere along the river. They like to be more in kind of vegetated waterways, not just way out in the river. They'll be along the edges. They're very, very beautiful birds. You will definitely see a mallard. There's almost no way you won't see a mallard. So this is our most common duck, and they'll be along the shore, um, like the wood ducks, but they don't you might see them, anywhere along the river, even further south. These are what we call diving ducks. So they tip over. They don't actually dive. I mean, they can, but they don't do it very often. And they tip over, and so they tend to feed in more shallow water. Common merganser is a type of diving duck. This is a duck, although its name translates to sea goose, but it is actually a type of duck. And their bill, birds don't have teeth, or at least modern birds don't. But this one has edges along its bill that are kind of like teeth. They're just part of its bill that's shaped like little triangles, and they grab fish. So they will be way out in the middle of the river, diving for fish. This is a buffle head. This is another type of diving duck. They're very small. They're very cute, and you can see them anywhere along the river. They dive, so they don't need to be along the shore, and they eat fish, but they mostly eat like aquatic vegetation, aquatic invertebrates as well. So they're very adorable, very cute, very small, very common ducks. There are many other kinds of ducks as well. These are the most common types, and I will be doing a waterfowl specific uh, presentation soon, so stay tuned for that one. And of course, the Canada goose. They are not Canadian geese. They are Canada geese. Canada, not Canadian, the proper term. These are obviously ubiquitous. You can see them anywhere there's water, anywhere there's a lot of grass, because they like to eat grass. Um, Very common. But interesting story with these geese. People like to say they get lazy and stop migrating. They were actually intentionally released to have a year-round population for hunting. Also, used to be able to keep them kind of as live decoy pets, to attract wild geese to hunt. And they all that practice and let the geese go. So geese are the urge to migrate is instinctual, but the route is learned. So the geese here live here year round because they were never taught by their parents how to migrate or where to migrate. So we do still have a migratory population of Canada geese that do nest in Canada, or they nest in northern parts of the country as well as Canada, and then they winter traditionally along, say, Delaware Bay, Chesapeake Bay area, and we still have that population that moves through in the big V's. Doublecrested Cormorant. Now, a lot of people think these are ducks or loons. They are actually more closely related to pelicans, and these are the birds you see on the wire at the art museum falls. So they they're not exactly sure why. I think it might be a lack of oil in their feathers. They're not exactly sure, but I guess, to be a good diver, they sacrifice a little buoyancy, and so their feathers get um, wet, and so they dry their feathers out by holding their wings open. So you often see them with their wings out. These are very common birds, and there's only two kinds of cormorants. The other kind is called a great cormorant, which is a little bit bigger, has white on the side of its face, kind of like a Canada goose, but they're much less common. You tend to see them only on the Delaware River. So it's very common birds. Hard to miss them along the river. So lots of people call gulls seagulls. There's nothing wrong with that. But there are many types of gull, and we're gonna talk about the three most common. So we have ring-billed gull, and as you can see, there's an adult in the foreground, and a little bit behind it is immature. Gulls take a number of years to attain their full kind of sharp-looking gray and white plumage. This is our most common type in the winter. These birds breed along the Great Lakes and in like ponds and small lakes and the rivers in Canada and the Great Lakes area, and they winter along our coasts, also along rivers and parking lots for that matter. This is a great blackback gull. There is a population that breeds in our area. There is a breeding record for um, Fort Mifflin. Mostly they're on the coast. This is the largest gull in the world. They are um, actually even bigger than a red-tailed hawk. They're about osprey size, a very large bird. They are very fierce predators. So people think of gulls eating trash, but they will take live prey too. They're a very big, very powerful bird. So slightly smaller, but still very large, is a herring gull, and this is also quite common. They breed along the coast, but mostly farther north and in inland in northern Canada, and we see them here in the winter. Very large, very beautiful bird. This is the classic seagull. Belted kingfisher. You need to see this along where there's perches for it to sit on to look for fish. But this is a it looks like a blue jay, but it is not. This is a bird that does fish. It dives headfirst in the water to catch fish, and they make this crazy rattling call. They are a delightful bird, and they're very exciting to see, and especially if you can see them dive for fish. Pretty small, about blue jay size, but not with the long tail. Great blue heron. This is a very common bird. We have them year round. You can see them walking along the river. Mostly, I'd say, um, from the art museum north. Not so much when it gets channelized through Center City, but they, walking along in shallow water. Very common bird. So very tall, about 4.5 feet tall, and they catch fish, and they will swallow a fish down their neck that you cannot believe how big it is. Very cool, very common, very beautiful bird. It's very elegant, except when they make noise, they sound like a cranky old man. Like, so some people actually call them the old cranky. Is their colloquial name. Bald eagle. These are two bald eagles. The younger ones are all dark, and eventually they get to white, more and more white feathers. Eventually they have the white head and white tail. So sometimes people mistake the way they look on the left as a golden eagle, but no, they are just young bald eagles. They take 4 years to get the white head and white tail. And bald eagles are actually quite common. If you're walking along the river, there's a very good chance you'll see one. Even more common on the Delaware River, but these birds eat fish. They nest at John Hines National Wildlife Refuge. They also nest at Pennypack Park on the Delaware. There is a nest across from the Navy Yard on the Jersey side, and there's a nest just north of the Wasaga Park in Montgomery County. There's also a nest just north of Philadelphia in Bucks County. Um, there's many nests outside the city as well. These are just the closest ones to the city. But this bird, just look up. You might see a bald eagle even over Center City, but definitely along the river, as they like to eat fish, and they will actually eat ducks and geese and turtles as well. Turkey vulture, very common. Um, they can be seen anywhere. Just look up. You just get a chance to see a turkey vulture. They do indeed eat carrion. They are large, not quite as large as eagle, but they are quite large birds. Black vulture. This is not quite as common as turkey vultures, but they're getting more common in the city. Again, you can see them anywhere, but they're quite common up in Maniac and Roxborough, especially. You see them quite often up that way. Red-tailed hawk is our common hawk. It's a very, very beautiful bird, and you'll see them in. There's a pair that nest near the art museum in Eakins Oval, so they often see them around there and hunting along the river there. But you can see them, anywhere there's forest, especially if there's like open fields, grassy areas, because they, where they hunt rabbits and squirrels and other mammals. Cooper's hawk. This is an immature. Generally, you see more immature than adults. This is smaller than a red-tailed hawk, very common hawk though, and they like to eat other medium-sized birds. Redbelly woodpecker is a very common woodpecker. Anywhere there's good-sized trees, good chance you'll see this one. Downy woodpecker is our most common woodpecker, and you can see them even in like center city and anywhere there's trees. You can see a downy woodpecker, very common on city streets even. Hairy, a little bit bigger, tends to need a little bit bigger trees, but still pretty common in any park. Pileated woodpecker. So you're going to see this more farther north, um, along the Schuylkill, where in Manayunk and Roxborough, well, the trees get bigger. But this is a crow-sized woodpecker, and they're quite large. You see them often. Also, you could also see them along the Schuylkill, in Fairmount Park as well. Northern flicker. This type of woodpecker is about blue jay size. They like to eat ants on the ground, um, and they will eat insects in the trees as well, and other plant material. They are a woodpecker. Um, they're called flicker because their call sounds like they're going flicka flicka flicka. A winter visitor to our area is the yellow-bellied sapsucker. In this photo, you can see holes in the tree in a line. They actually do dig holes in the trees to drink the sap. Oh, excuse me. They also eat insects as well, and they come down in the winter. And I've actually seen them right around City Hall. So even in the center city, you can see them in the winter sometimes. Winter wren, very aptly named. This bird breeds in the mountains and the boreal forest. They're really, really tiny, and you can see them anywhere there's dense trees and in the dense undergrowth in the winter. Carolina wren. This is their common wren. You see them year round, and they actually sing year round. They sound like they're saying tea kettle, tea kettle, tea kettle. Brown creeper. We tend to see these only in the winter or early spring, late fall. They kind of act like a woodpecker, although they are a type of songbird. They creep along tree trunks. White-breasted nuthatch. This is another songbird. It acts like a woodpecker. Very common, especially in the winter, and you'll see them looking for dormant insects, and they also eat a lot of seeds and nuts as well. Golden-crowned kinglet. This small songbird, as well as its close relative, the ruby-crowned kinglet, they like to eat. They eat dormant insects in the winter. It's a very small bird, about the size of a hummingbird, and you see them throughout the winter. White-throated sparrow is they provide the song of the winter. They sound like they're going, "Old man Peabody, Peabody, Peabody," or since they're from Canada or the mountains and also like the forest in Canada, Maine, what have you. Um, Sometimes people say they say, "Oh, Canada, Canada, Canada." Another bird that sings all through the winter. Very, very common. Anywhere you have trees, you'll see some white-throated sparrows. Common raven. This bird is actually getting more and more common. They are very common. Not bird. They're much more common in the mountains, but they're getting more and more common in the city, and especially along the Schuylkill River Trail in Manayunk and Roxborough. Um, they may even nest along there. We're not sure yet, but they're getting more common. And finally, we have the fish crow. There's also the American crow. They look almost identical, pretty much identical. You can only tell apart by the call. The fish crow goes caw, 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 or the American crow goes caw, 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 a little bit more burlier. And they're very common. You can see them anywhere. But fish crows are so named because they associate with bodies of water. So I hope that was helpful. Hopefully you see some of these birds next time you're walking along the river. And be safe. Stay socially distant. Wear your mask.